What's up, guys? Welcome back to this episode of the Road to Redemption podcast. I'm, as always, your host, Cam Williamson, and I could not be happier to be back with you guys. I'm so excited to have the podcast back. Just going to do kind of a check-in with you guys. I haven't checked in. Sorry if you're watching me on YouTube. I'm kind of dealing with how I'm going to choose to sit during this episode. I'm sitting under my mic stand, which I don't really like, but I put my mic stand in a weird spot. And we're going to deal with it. Let me turn down the volume here. Why am I so loud? How's things going? How are things going for me? Let me try to figure that out. I tried Mochi ice cream today. Mochi ice cream, whatever you call that. I expected, the way it was sold to me via people that I've heard talk about these things, is that they're so good. But that it was a cookie with ice cream in it. Boy, is that not a good sell. That is not an accurate description of what mochi ice cream is, or mochi, or however you say it. Because this is ice cream that's in like a flesh type coating. They call it rice. What is it? Rice something? It's essentially rice skin. It's a very odd texture when you first bite in to your first experience of some mochi ice cream. But they were good. I got the strawberry one. It was solid. So, hey, I guess if you can afford to try some mochi ice cream, things are going okay. Things have been a little different for me around the house. My wife took a couple weeks off work. So we've been spending a lot more time like as a family, which is cool. But we're really just trying to work shit out. As far as, my wife turned 29 in October. I turned 29 in this last February, and we're just at that place. We have a daughter who's 2, got an older daughter who's 5, but lives in another state because she's from my first marriage. And we're really just trying to figure out, like, what do we want the next 30 years of our life to look like? And we're looking at all aspects of, like, what do we do on a daily basis? How do we start our morning? How do we end our days? How much time do we spend together as a family? How much, me time is everybody getting in a single day? Is everyone taking the time to take time for themselves? Like, every single aspect of our life, we're trying to break it down and go, okay, let's set a solid standard going forward for what we're going to expect out of our family. And that's no longer just my wife and I. For the longest time, we were kind of stuck on that idea that, well, as long as my wife and I are on the same page, then everybody else is on the same page. But that's cool and all until you start having kids. Once you have kids and they are older than just a couple months old, they're going to start to have their own wants and needs. And, even things like now, my daughter's 2, but things pop up at her school all the time where they want you to do this, do that, bring this in, dress them up like that. And it's easy to get into the flow of things and be like, all right, they say it's Spirit Day this day. The kids are wearing this. They're dressing up like that. They're bringing in this. And it's easy to just kind of get in this autopilot thing where you're not paying attention to what's going on at the kids' school. You're not really checking in with what's the quality of content that the kids are consuming all day long, what is being taught, and all that stuff I really try to protect. I try to protect what my kids see, what they hear. All that stuff is really, really important to me. I don't want to be the type of parent that's just every day after school, hey, how was school? Fine, cool. See you after, you're done with your homework, when we sit down for dinner and act like we're this happy family, then we all go our separate ways and nobody knows what the hell anybody's doing. I have no desire for that. And I want to talk about this because I can only speak from a father's perspective, so I would love to hear some mothers' perspectives. Please leave them in the comments if you have them, or DM me and just tell me what your perspective is. As a father, I feel it extremely difficult in 2021 because the dynamics have shifted so much in our current society and the way that we live, and it's not so weird that like a guy would have a job where he's home more, so therefore like I'm with my daughter all the time outside of when she's at school, but she wouldn't even technically have to be in daycare. We send her to an early educational center so she can learn. I'm not a teacher. My wife is not a teacher. We don't claim to be teachers. So we understand that in the scope of raising our child in her best interest, being at school is the best way to do that. Now, she has a ton of fun at school. She learns social skills, which is very important. She has friends. The people there love her. It's a community that she's building at a young age, and people that care about her that she will carry into, hopefully older in life. But the goal of mine is to create a life where our family never has to be away from one another, because like we have to work 60 hours a week just to make ends meet. I never want to do that. I have tried my best to create this social media life where if my kids have a game, I'm there. And I can even document it and make it a part of my, next video. I want my family to be all inclusive with each other. We are tight knit and loyal like the mafia, and we will make anything happen for each other. But the difficulty that I'm facing myself, and like I said, I would love everyone's perspective, is I'm home now. My wife still works a 9-to-5 job, and I do this, and then I'm a dad all the time. So I find this balance is very difficult, and I apologize that I'm taking so long to get to the point, but I'm trying to figure out how I want to say it and say it accurately as to how I feel. I find it very stressful and overwhelming to try to keep this balance up of being a perfect father and being around for everything, listening every time they speak, bending to their every want and will and need, so that way they know how much their father loves them and how much I love being there with them. And also, I am still me, and I am still a creator, and I am still somebody who has to get these creative energies out and my message that I feel so passionately about out. And it's also just not healthy to smother your kids and give them every single thing they want. So I'm stuck in this weird balance of like, I feel like I'm never working hard enough, and then I also feel like I do too much. Like I'm always... from the time she goes to school to the time I pick her up, I'm doing something content related wise, or coming up with ideas, or creating the clothing line, or updating the social medias, or whatever it is. Coming up with new ideas for videos, or out on the board learning new tricks. And people think it's silly that I'm out skateboarding, but if I can tie that into what I'm doing and I'm making content and people seem to really enjoy the content about skateboarding, it only helps everything else I'm doing. But it is difficult because even myself, I'm a 90s kid, so I have that inner monologue sometimes of like, dude, all you do all day is videotape yourself skating or doing something. Sit down, edit that, take care of your family, go to sleep. Where is the stress in that? But it's not spoken about the type of person I am. Like, I'm never going to be the one that goes, oh, hey, my family's comfortable. Like, we're all living and our bills are paid and everything's good. So we're good. So let me just chill. I'm never that person. Every time I've ever had that opportunity come up for me, like I get the job that pays more, I get the promotion that's going to put me in this spot, I always do something bigger. I have to find, okay, well, if I did that, and that's nothing like what I thought it was going to be when I finally got to this level, let me keep working even harder. How can I keep improving in any area? Like with the MMA thing, I fought for 3 years. I trained for 3 years, all the way to work up to, in the beginning, I was like, maybe I'll take a fight one day. Took a fight, trained for 6 months, won the fight, and was like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I still love MMA. I watch it every single week. I talk about it constantly, but it's just not where my focus is in my life anymore. I know I don't want to make a career out of MMA or training in it. Skateboarding, I could at least see doing something. It's not like back in the day where unless you were on one of 5 skateboard, teams, you were considered a pro skateboarder. Now, there's thousands of people making careers skateboarding on social media. It's just all about what your interests are, what are you actually talented in, and what do you really have a passion about. But I'm getting away from my point of in 2021, we have these new dynamics of what people do for their jobs. It's putting some people together more as a family, which is good, but it's also, what are we doing with that time? That's what I ask my family a lot. Like, now we're all home together more, but like, what are we doing with the time? Are we all sitting around on our phones constantly? Is dad working sometimes while mom and the kid are hanging out, and then mom's got to do her thing while dad and the kid are hanging out, and then do we have time together? And then does the kid have time to play by herself? That is all the dynamic, the family dynamic that I want to bring up, and I want to bring my kids up in. It's more difficult with my 5-year-old because I don't see her that much. I see her once a month, and that's if I'm lucky. A lot of the time. So it's just something, and I'm going to start talking more about family on this show, especially as my kids get older. Parenting is 90% of who I am. Everything you guys don't see on camera, it's me being a parent or me being a husband. And in a way, and that's the only stuff I don't show because my family members didn't sign up for that. I signed up to be on camera. I put myself on camera, and those that are in my videos, they choose to be in them during that time. And before I hit any record button, I always ask, do you want to end up in this video? And I make sure that they want to be in it before. You guys see little bits and spurts of my wife, but she's not the type that likes to be on camera. So like when she's somewhere and I'm going to record, I go, hey, babe, do you want to be in this? Do you want me to show you like that? If you don't, I won't even show you. And it's one of those dynamics of a lot of people ask, why don't you show your family more? Why don't you show more about your wife? That's not my call. My wife is her own individual person who has her own wants, needs, and perspectives on life. And it's my job to be the best husband I can be on and off camera. And that's where, living a life like mine, it's very secluded. You guys saw, I just put up one video of me skating with a homie of mine, Thomas, but like, that's a dude I just met not too long ago. I don't have a whole lot of friends. I'm a family guy. Like, you're not going to catch me out on the weekends doing anything. I'm at home with my kids. I also suffer from things like PTSD, anxiety, and depression, and bipolar disorder, so me being in public is not something that happens a lot. Unless my wife is home with me, I'm not one that's just going to take my kid to the park by myself. That's not in anyone's best interest. Not because I'm not capable of doing that, it's just I'm better when I have my wife with me and I'm more carefree, relaxed, having fun. So I struggle with my own things that make my balance of parenting very difficult. And those are a lot of the things that I've been really trying to hone in on. That's so what you guys are seeing, the skateboarding, but a lot of the stuff that's in the background, it's all just personal development stuff. I'm trying to constantly remind myself that everything I feel doesn't make it valid in reality. Like, I have a lot of feelings and I have a lot of thoughts about things. I have a lot of passions and there's a lot of principle things at my core that I believe in. And some of it is getting to a point for me and my family, if I'm being honest, where it just gets overwhelming trying to keep up with all of it, because it's hard to try to take care of yourself and press to try to make a career and a brand take off. Those two things don't coincide with each other, really. So that's why it's called a balance, and that's why doing things like being your own boss or being an entrepreneur or doing your own thing outside of going and work, it's tough because you're constantly at war with yourself, especially if you're a parent. You're always wondering, what side am I fucking up right now? Pardon my language, but that's how it constantly feels. If I'm at work, then I'm fucking up being a dad. If I'm being a dad, then I'm fucking up my brand and I'm not putting in the energy and the time and the attention that I should. And then that's where the depression and the stuff kicks in, because I go, and that's why you're not getting the results you want. And that's where the negative loopholes kick in and go, well, that's why this is such a hard thing to do, because you now have a family. If you didn't have a family, you would dedicate all that time to doing your career, but then you wouldn't have a family, so you would have no reason to be doing all this. And it's a vicious cycle that's easy to turn into a victim mentality of, well, I can't fucking win anyway, and what are the chances that I'll become one of the biggest podcasts in the world or whatever? Let me just hang out. Let me just be cool, and let me just chill and relax and do what I enjoy doing. That's a lot easier. But I might do that for a day or two and go, this is boring as shit. I need to get back to doing what sets me on fire, which is creating content, giving that my all during my day, and then giving my family my all at night, and just learning that there's a balance to it. Always trying to control substances. Honestly, my biggest one right now is coffee. Dude, I drink way too much coffee. Way too much. Way too much. So it's no secret, I wake up early as fuck because I don't sleep very good, and just many reasons. I just get up early. So if on a morning where I wake up around 2:30 in the morning, my family doesn't wake up till 7. So there's some mornings that I'll polish off 2 pots of coffee myself before they get up. Now that's not all the time, but usually it's just one. But I'll still polish off a whole pot of coffee between the hours of 2:30 in the morning and 7 in the morning. But then from 7 in the morning until noon, there's at least one more pot in there. And then from noon to 4, there's at least one more. And then we make one more when my wife gets home before we go to bed. And I'll usually get, good 8-9 cups of coffee in the morning. Between all those. That's a lot. That's a lot, and it's when you're dealing with stuff like anxiety, it doesn't help anything. And when you deal with things like insomnia to begin with, it definitely doesn't help anything. Now I've gotten my central nervous system to a point where coffee doesn't really do much. It's just if I don't have that kind of thing in the morning, I get these gnarly caffeine headaches I've been getting, which is just another sign that it's gotten completely out of control. That if I don't do it like within 10 minutes of waking up, and I'm struggling with that do-si-do of a dance that I seem to always do in my life, which is I can never control any substance that I'm using. Even one as harmful or as harmless as coffee, I take it to the absolute maxed out guild. A lot of you that have listened to the show for a while will remember I used to, damn it, I hate that. I hate when I'm getting alerts the whole time during the show. I apologize. I try to mute it. I just got this new OtterBox for my phone. I got this like 6 months ago, and it comes with this ridiculous thing where whose finger is fitting in that to turn it on silent mode? And then once I get it on silent, it's impossible to get it off. Anywho, I digress. A part of the PTSD and the bipolar disorder and the anxiety, a lot of it all meshes because it comes from the constant overanalysis of everything. Myself, the situations around me, my brand, my family that's in other states. I haven't even mentioned I've got like multiple family members that are battling with corona right now. So then that puts that in there of like, how do I feel about that? I've got multiple different feelings about how I feel about that. I don't feel one way or the other about it. You got the vaccine thing going on. You got the elderly Asian people are supposedly getting beat up online, and it's just like, how much stuff can you genuinely be an advocate for? I'm an advocate for my family first, always. I'm the number one diehard for family. After that, I'm an advocate for mental health. I use skateboarding as an expression of that. And I want to be kind and loving to everyone I come in contact with, regardless of whether or not they deserve it. That's always my goal. I heard that in a movie recently, and it really stuck with me. When it was, I think it was the Wonder Woman movie. Yeah, it was. Not the newest one, but the old one. The guy was like trying to attack her at the end, and he goes, "Why would you do this for them? They don't deserve it." And she goes, "It's not about deserve." And that struck a weird chord with me where I was like, I know it's a movie, and especially it's a Wonder Woman movie. She's supposed to say the perfect thing right there, but that is such the perfect way to look at life. If you're all about being kind and loving, then it should have nothing to do with whether or not the person deserves the kindness or the love you're giving them, because it's about who you are as a person. Who are you? What do you do? And we've gotten so far away from that in the world today. I feel like now, as things are starting to open back up, you're seeing the seeds of mental health issues really blooming, because you're going to see people come back to work that haven't seen each other in like a year, and they're going to be different people. Have you ever seen someone after you haven't seen them for a year? It's almost like you don't know each other. You've changed so much. Everybody goes through these cycles of life where your priorities change, your goals change, the way you dress changes. You have families. I mean, we're constantly evolving as people. But then you have stuff like the crazy woke culture and the cancel culture and all this, where it's like, okay, are we evolving or are we just doing shit? Which goes back to the question you have to ask in your own individual pod, which is what I truly believe. You have to start everything, tend to the part of the garden you can reach, which is, if you're not making these changes in your home, then don't talk about making them in the world. But you have to go, all right, well, we're like, what are we doing? Are we doing good stuff, or are we just doing stuff that we think we're supposed to do? Out in the world, we're doing a lot of stuff. People are doing a lot of stuff that they feel like they should do, but they don't check in with the actual world and go, oh, hey, does anybody actually care about this? Or the bigger one, is this actually happening? No. I know you saw a video. Let's remember that there's plenty of countries out there that love to make videos and circulate them through our social media sites. That's not red, blue, Democrat, Republican, left, right. It's none of that. That is a fact. It happens. It happens. We just don't take the time. Even our news sources don't take the time. We have known for at least 4 years, way longer than that, but we're going to say at least 4, that the news outlets cover half-ass stuff, and then even when they do cover it, they half-ass that. So right there, we're getting a quarter of what we got. But yet, we sit in our homes and actually change our daily fucking routines and lives based off headlines that we can't validate happen. I've seen the videos of old Asian people getting knocked the fuck out. I've seen them. It's terrible if it's really happening. And I'm not saying we treat it like Corona, where you wait until you know somebody that gets knocked the fuck out until you care about it. That's what everyone did with Corona. But it's like, Can we wait to act like we have a global pandemic of people knocking out elderly Asian people? Or did we have a few isolated incidents at most, which doesn't downplay how terrible it is, but we don't have a whole war going on of people attacking elderly Asian people? I don't believe that's a thing. I don't genuinely have that little amount of belief in the human race. I get it. We have outliers. We have the people like that shoot up the salons and shoot up schools and grocery stores and whatever the fuck else is happening. I don't believe that people are genuinely that bad that they would see an innocent human, and now I'm saying the majority or even a mass group of people that would see an innocent old lady and even have it in their ability to hurt them. Now, we saw the guy that did it. We found out his whole rap, that he killed his mother and all this. Terrible human being. So again, he is the far extreme exception. Then you have bodyguards that stand there, or security guards that stood there and didn't do anything. Which just makes me question, what's going on? So I just want to implore you guys, or I want to advise you for what it's worth. Focus on your shit, man. Because I can guarantee you, if you focus on your own shit, and you look at your house, and you look at your people, and you look at your lifestyle and the way you're doing things, there's a lot of things you could probably be cleaning up and fixing and working on and assessing. It's a lot easier to look out. And this has always been a thing. This isn't a new thing. Every time we leave a fucking family gathering, family reunion, a party, a Christmas party, a fucking company get together, whatever, what's the first thing we do when we get back in the car? Oh, did you see what happened over there with Larry and whoever? They was, oh man, he looks like shit. And we start talking about stuff. And then by the time you get home, you were like, oh, remember the Mandy and Steve left together? And you're like, no, they didn't. I think his. And it gets so fucking blown out of control. The game of telephone has always been the weakest fucking game alive. But yet what? We still play it. Oh, well, I heard this and I heard that and I read here. Did you read there? Did you read that somewhere? What the fuck does that even mean today? You understand, we have entire pages run by other countries, people who are legitimately illiterate, but are on social media because their family members are turning them into public figures because they have developmental challenges. There's everything on the internet. Because you read it somewhere, saw it somewhere, or happened to come across it, ask yourself this question. What would be the benefit to anyone to put this on my feed? Could this possibly benefit anyone that I'm hearing about for me to invest myself in this? I.e., stop Asian hate when it was all of, whatever. Whatever the cool thing to get upset about is today, ask yourself that question. Who would benefit the most from me really diving into this? And I can almost guarantee you it's never mankind. It's almost never that. We've somehow made this world, this alternate reality where, oh, hold on, we're losing the camera. Give me a second. That's how I know we're going too long. All right, we're coming back. Sorry, guys. Sorry, we're back. That's how I know that we're getting into like this alternate reality that feels like a virtual reality where we don't even know what right or wrong is anymore. We got fucking Lil Nas X making Satan shoes with blood in them, and then we've got people that like legit are defending it like this guy has a fucking point. He doesn't have a point. He's taking something like the LGBTQ community and he's taking this platform almost like the race card and he's going, well, you can't touch me for this, so I'm going to say that this is the platform I'm standing on. When you're not. You're just trying to do stuff to cause a stir out of people. It's no secret that religion's not the hot thing in 2021, but if you were gonna try to be a young, black, gay kid that dresses like a cowboy, sometimes used to, doesn't really do that anymore, but did for the Old Town Road song, which was marketed to children. And then now you got this guy that was an attention whore from the start is doing attention whore type stuff. And you want me to be like understanding that he's trying to make a political statement, but also give a fuck at all? No. But it gets to the point where I watch so many people that I know. Like, people I've seen in person and I know they're real and they're getting involved in this shit. And I'm like, did you get caught up? Like, did you get caught up in thinking that this is actually something to give a fuck about? Or do you really care? That's where I get so frustrated, because if somebody that I love, appreciate, care about as a person cares about something, it's in my nature to want to care and try to help them if I possibly can, and maybe even boost their endeavors. So I listen and I try to understand, but there's so much that goes on in today's day and age that I just can't fucking understand. If we're defending Satan shoes for any reason, from a kid that wants to market himself to children and then make a video lap dancing. I don't give a fuck if he's lap dancing with the devil or not. I don't want my kids watching the WAP video either. It all comes to the underlying question of what in the fuck are we doing? And the real problem is, we cannot control what comes up on our feeds. We've proven through things like the social network and stuff like that it's just not gonna happen of people limiting their usage on there. And we went as far as, there was a big thing for a while. If you don't like something, just block it, unfollow it, don't look at it. Well, in 2021, that doesn't even work. Everything is pumped onto your feed, whether you want to see it or not, whether it's a sponsored ad or it's just what they're promoting, whether it's people fucking milly-whopping or doing whatever they're doing, somehow acting an ass of themselves. But I find that if you're trying to just have genuine conversations about real life that has nothing to do with some crazy, elaborate bullshit, all your social media accounts are like this. They just keep them down in this little tiny 0.0001%, and they write it off as, oh, nobody gives a shit about that. But it's like, you didn't give them a chance. You're pumping them full of all this stuff that pisses them off and sends them all at wanting to go to war with each other. You didn't give them the good stuff. And then, obviously, there's the retorts of people that are like, well, there's some people that their timelines are very positive and it's very fulfilling and they see everything that they want to see. Well, that's fucking great. If you have the time every single day to keep up with what changed in terms and data policies and what fucking allowances you're allowing on your computers, phones, tablets, and all that, if you've got your shit so far dialed in, shout out to all the VPN places that are out there that are going to probably hit me up after this saying, hey, if you want to secure your stuff, My point being, in 2021, it's not up to us anymore. They're putting people dancing all over people's stuff. I'm seeing underage kids dancing, skateboarding, doing shit. I got kids that I would never allow to make a video only because I would not want it to show up on a 29-year-old man's page. I'm not making skateboarding videos of my 2-year-old kid because 2-year-old kids ain't watching that. Grown people are watching that. But because I like skateboarding, now I gotta watch some 13-year-old girl skateboard? No. There should be a whole nother shit for them. And it just... It's tough because I was a kid and I was someone who wanted to constantly do my own thing regardless of what my parents felt about it. But I can tell you, I'm going to be the parent that's like, no, man, I get it. I know it's cool, but you ain't doing that shit. I better not catch you. None of this shit on camera. Nothing. Half naked anyways. Have your fun. Do your thing. I'm not going to make them be, part of the Taliban or anything, but I better never see What? What are we talking about? Whose parents are these? So, like I said, I tried Mochi ice cream cookies this week, so things can't be going that bad, right? In the world. I'm sure someone will say it's because of my white privilege and whatever, but they can get fucked too. So, hey, guys, nice and positive this week. We just dropped the whole new line of merch. Go check that out over at the Road, the number 2, redemptionpodcast.com. We are anxiously awaiting the drop of the Gangster of Love new design, which should be coming by the end of this month. So keep an eye out on the website and all the videos for that. Make sure you guys are subscribed. Give us a thumbs up if you like this episode. Tell all your friends to tune in so that way they can share these crazy stories and roundabout rants that we go on with you. And then you guys can talk about them over the water cooler or wherever you guys hang out. Smoking pits for my vets out there and, water bars for my sober folks. Love you guys, and we'll talk to you later.